Support for Steppin Out comes in part from the Kristovich family in honor of Mary Lou and Bill Kristovich. This program is sponsored in part by the Eugenie and Joseph Jones Family Foundation, a local foundation proud to support the arts and culture in the greater New Orleans area.
Good evening, I'm Peggy Scott Laborde, and welcome to Steppin Out, spotlighting the New Orleans area's arts and entertainment scene. Seated at our table tonight, Kelly Fouchi, co-artistic director of Rivertown Theaters for the Performing Arts, here to tell us all about their brand new production of Oliver. Good to see you. Hello.
You too.
And making his Steppin Out debut, curator Howard Margot, here to discuss the historic New Orleans collections exhibit the New Orleans drawings of Steppin de Pontalba. Welcome to our show, sir.
Pleasure to be here.
And Alan Smason of Crescent City Jewish News and TheaterCriticism.com. Hello, Alan. Poppy Tucker returns next week. Now, it's so tempting to sing Food, Glorious Food, okay? But I will let you tell us first, and we do have an excerpt from the show.
Okay.
Now, also, wait, before you even begin, you're also performing in the show, too.
I am. I'm doing triple duty this time. I directed, choreographed, and I'm also playing Nancy.
Ooh, girl.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a little crazy
Congrats.
week, but such a joy to see it all come together, and I get to perform on stage with my daughter for the first time, which is really what inspired me to do it, and we're just so excited to open tonight.
Kelly, you're playing Nancy.
Yeah.
So you get to sing a wonderful
As
song.
He needs me. It's gorgeous. And honestly, we're doing the 2005 London revival, and the score has been reorchestrated, and it's just beautiful. And the show really clips along. It's about 2:20 running time. I think people think, Oliver, long, tried and true, but we really breathing some new life into it.
And how many cast members?
68.
Oh, my goodness.
We have 41 children in the show, and they have just been such a joy to have around. They inspire the adults, and the adults inspire them, so it's a really great atmosphere.
Now, we're about to show a clip shortly.
Okay.
Tell us, set up who was in the clip, who will be performing.
So we
for us.
have Liam Gillen, who is playing the Artful Dodger, and Arthur Rusnak, who is our adorable and heartbreaking Oliver. And they're going to start off with a little bit of Consider Yourself, and then we'll do a montage of a couple of, shots from the show.
All right, let's take a look at Consider Yourself.
Are you sure Mr. Fagan won't mind? Mind? Consider yourself at home. Consider yourself one of the family. I've taken you so strong. It's clear we're going to get along. Consider yourself well in. Consider yourself part of the furniture. There isn't a lot to spare. Who cares what? Haven't we got, we share. If it's a chance to be, we should see some harder days. Empty Lorder days, war grouse. Always a chance we'll meet somebody to foot the bill. Then the drinks are on the house. Consider yourself our mates. We don't want to have no fuss. For after some consideration, we can state, consider yourself one of us.
Consider yourself at home. Consider yourself one of the family. We've taken you so strong. It's clear we're going to get along. Consider yourself our mate. We don't have no fuss. For after some consideration, we can state, consider
All right. Congrats. And opening tonight, Through January 26th, you think you might hold over?
We actually have already added a holdover performance.
I
We're so
wondered.
excited about that. Yeah,
When
the
is
final
that?
weekend on Saturday, January 25th at 2 p.m., and we're possibly looking at adding another. So
Okay,
get your
so it
tickets.
goes through the January
Through
26th, is that?
yes.
Okay, well, congratulations.
Thank you.
So tell us about the rest of the season, just briefly.
We have upcoming in March, Peter and the Starcatcher, and then in May we close out the season with the Drowsy Chaperone, but then we have our summer add-on, Rodgers and Hammerstein Cinderella. Yes.
So much fun.
And we're about to announce our new season.
All
coming up in
right.
a couple of weeks, as soon as we get Oliver closed.
Okay. You know, Kelly does not have enough to do in the world, okay, because she also has, what, the dance studio?
Performing Arts Studio, yes, Encore Studio in Harahan, going on our 19th year, actually. It's hard to believe.
And I think your husband's slightly involved with theater, too?
Slightly, yes. He gets on stage and helps us manage everything, you know, off stage as well, sound and marketing. And he was in the shop helping out and actually keeping our family together while things
And
were
a
crazy.
few years ago, which I still remember, he was a great Will Rogers
Yes.
with Will Rogers
Yes,
Follies,
still
too.
an audience favorite. They come
Yeah.
back and say, when can y'all do Will Rogers again? We just loved it.
And you and your daughter are performing in all
We
of those, is
are.
that
We're
correct?
performing as Nancy and Bet together, which is really special.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank
It's
you.
great news. And we have some food bites. Since Poppy's not here, I'm going to be at the helm for this. The 43rd, hard to believe, annual Chef's Charity for Children that takes place on Monday, January the 27th. The event features many of New Orleans' best-known chefs, including Emeril Lagasse, Nina Compton, Tori McPhail, and many others. Chefs will be cooking, teaching, and serving lunch to guests from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Hilton New Orleans Riverside Hotel right there in Poydras Street. Tickets start at $75 and includes, you know, the food. Proceeds benefit St. Michael's Special School. To order, 524-7285 is the number, or go to stmichaelspecialschool.com. I also wanted to highlight the independent Krewe NOLA wine shop and bar. Krewe means a wine cave. This wonderful space features a retail wine shop and also has wines and cheeses from around the world. Now, go to independentnola.com to learn more. It's a delightful place. It's in an unlikely spot. It's on 1226 South White Street behind Mossy Oles, okay? And you can actually take a right if you were coming from Mid-City and, you know, over the overpass, take a hard right, and it's that street between Mossy's two car lots. So you go down that, then take a right or go for a block back towards the interstate. Got that? Okay. Anyway, South White Street, and you can always MapQuest it. Jim Jonkus and Joanne Close are offering wine classes, so check their website, independentnola.com. But a wonderful place, great to pick up a bottle of wine. Christmas shopping was perfect, but you can go there and actually have a glass of wine and some cheese, and it's absolutely delightful. And once you know where it is, you got it. And New Orleans Magazine's quiz queen, Julia Street, has a question for us. Last time Warren Ashley gave us the names of the two teams the Saints, sniff sniff, had to beat in the playoffs to get to the 2010 Super Bowl. The answer is the Arizona Cardinals and the Minnesota Vikings. Now, tonight's question. These two marches are the most commonly heard marches at local society carnival balls. Name them. I know Alan would know that. Email your answers to steppinout@wyes.org. Our prize is a year's subscription to Louisiana Life magazine. Tonight we have a dish towel with the message "Wine and the World Wines with You" from our friends at wearablevegetables.com. We also have a pair of complimentary French Quarter walking tour passes, and that's courtesy of the Friends of the Cabildo. Go to friendsofthecabildo.org for more information, and you can go to wyes.org/steppinout for our online calendar, including Flash Mob New Orleans, beginning their annual Mardi Gras Mambo 7-week workshop hosted by the Ann Burr Dance Studio over there in Dublin Street. Classes start tomorrow, yes, and run every Saturday through February the 22nd. I would call them 453-6991 to register, or go to flashmobneworleans.com to learn more. Also tomorrow, the LPO will be performing Beethoven's Eroica, and that's featuring cellist Pablo Ferrandez. The concert begins at 7:30 p.m. at the Orpheum Theater. Go to lpo.com to purchase your tickets. You can also link to WYES's WYES' YouTube channel to see our program. And I guess with any event, I would call beforehand because of the weather and being problematic. So, and now Howard, I'm so glad you're here. Everybody knows the Baroness Pontalba and the Pontalba apartments, and of course her family was pretty large, and one of her sons spent time here and had a way with a pencil, huh?
To put it mildly, yes. The family came here when the Pontalba buildings were under construction. The Baroness was very hands-on. Many people may know that she and the builder sued each other repeatedly during the construction process.
This is the 1840s.
This is between 1848 and 1850 when the Pontalbas were built. So when they arrived here in October of 1848, the traveling party consisted of the Baroness, her middle son, and her youngest son. Her youngest son, Gaston, was the artist, and Gaston's lifelong friend, Klein, the ironically named Klein. He was about 6'6", and a man mountain must have made quite a spectacle walking around the French Quarter in 1850. But Gaston got a law degree when he was in his early to mid-20s. He never practiced. He didn't have to practice, but he was a lifelong artist. I haven't seen all of the sketchbooks, but I'm told that he drew every chateau in the Loire Valley and beyond. Mm-hmm. He did lots of drawings in Germany of castles and forests. We are very happy that his drawings of New Orleans and this region survived. They were discovered by the current Baron's and Baroness's eldest son, Pierre. Pierre de Pontalba was here a couple of years ago. He was doing brief internships around town, kind of getting his feet wet in the archives and history business. And at some point, I was showing him some of the collection's drawings of the French Quarter, and he informed me that there were some really nice French Quarter drawings at his house.
At the chateau.
At the chateau. He had discovered them somewhat by accident. I mean, people knew they existed, but they had been put away for decades. So he sort of rediscovered these drawings. I asked him when he got back to France, please send me some scans. He did. I showed them to our director, Priscilla Lawrence, and she said, you're doing a show. Surprise. So I just kind of dropped everything else for about a year and a half, and with a lot of help from Pierre and from the Pontalba family. They're incredibly wonderful people, down to earth, nice as can be. They just, came off. This was on the heels of doing a huge show at the Cabildo, yes, which ran most of last year for the Tricentennial, and dealing with the shipping companies and all the packing and all the insurance, all the stuff. So we wanted to put on a much smaller show featuring Gaston's artwork. And there was actually a little bit of it at the Cabildo show. Those of you who saw that may have noticed they had one of Gaston's drawings, and they had some copies of items we lent them. The originals of which you can see in this show.
And just to say that it's not that far off from being over, so February 2nd,
right?
And it's free.
It's free, like just about everything we do, free and open to the public. Not that much time left, but
and it's on. Okay, explain where it is. This is the newest building.
It's the new building at
Channel 6, 520.
Yeah, 520 Royal. It's on the mezzanine, and you can stop on your way up to the gigantic Crescent City Sports Show, yes, and see this rather intimate little show. But it's really terrific for architectural history geeks like myself and preservationists, people who are interested in French Quarter preservation, which is kind of the historic New Orleans collection's raison d'etre, historic preservation, trying to keep things from being turned into T-shirt shops or worse.
Yes. Are they in good shape? I wonder. The sketches, are they in pretty good shape?
Yes, they're in excellent condition. There were a couple of dozen loose drawings that were found just in envelopes. Most of the drawings are in sketchbooks. Now, we couldn't disbind the sketchbooks. I mean, you don't go there. So we have each sketchbook open to a page chosen for its wonderful drawing. A lot of the drawings in the show are that are hanging on the walls are reproductions, because we just could not, we couldn't. We scanned them and put reproductions on the wall, and there's about a dozen or more that are originals, and we were able to frame those. In addition to, for people who are not excited about architecture. There are also some humorous drawings, some kind of nature drawings. Gaston was very good at rendering nature and atmosphere and different light at different times of day. This is all with pencil and watercolor.
Wow.
Pencil and watercolor. Some of the sketches are just pencil. Not everything's watercolor. But they're really wonderful. They tell us a lot about the architecture in that period. There's some surprises for the Vieux Carré Commission and others when they see that these buildings were standing in 1850 and looked the way they did in 1850. There's a couple of daguerreotypes that the Baroness commissioned when the Pontalba buildings were completed, and those are the oldest photographs of the French Quarter that we're aware of. Yeah, she hired a company out of Philadelphia to do them. They're small, but you can look at them with a magnifying glass. Daguerreotypes have amazing
So we
detail.
get to see those too? Or?
You get to see those too, and one of the highlights is a large poster-size architectural rendering of the Pontalba buildings when they were completed. They're done after the fact. It's not the original architectural plans. No one's ever found the original architectural plans. They may not exist, but we think they exist. I mean, there's documentation. People talked about them like they existed, but no one's ever found them. But this is the closest thing we've ever found. And again, Pierre de Pontalba discovered this.
Thank you, Pierre.
Thank you, Pierre. Yeah.
Thank you so much. February 2nd. Huh?
February 2nd.
All right. And hnoc.org for more details about all this, too. Earlier today, Carl Mack and Marshall Harris of the Krewe of Stars stopped by to discuss their upcoming ball. Truly, 'tis the season for balls and all, in a unique kind of ball called the Krewe of Stars. Of course, Carl Mack and Marshall Harris, co-captains of this august crew. It's going to be held at the Jefferson Performing Arts Center right there on Airline Highway. Tell us about this. It's pretty unique, isn't it?
Right. So about 4 years ago, Marshall and I came up with the idea of starting our own crew that featured entertainment.
Yeah.
So we call it a show ball, and people who attend the ball, you can buy tickets online, and you can come and have fun with us. There's food, and then there's a show. And
So that is your tableau, and
Yes.
I'm excited because this year the theme is,
The Media Circus.
and I get to be a part of the circus.
Of course.
Okay. But more importantly, and quite a few of us, but we have special monarchs this year.
Right. Our incoming queen is Queen Margot,
Yep.
and our incoming king is King Eric Paulson.
Very good. But you now have had some illustrious past monarchs in this year. Who's going to be back?
The current royalty is Queen Chris Owens, and Chris is going to be in the show. And filling in for her partner, who passed last year, Mark
Very
Davison,
sad, yes.
is Al Carnival Time Johnson, who was our second king.
With Irma Thomas.
All
Irma Thomas, right.
right. All right.
then
And our
first year-
inaugural pair was Dennis Asaf and Angela Hill.
All right, so absolutely perfect. But we also have Miss Becky Allen performing
Every
too.
year we
huh,
get to have
Marshall?
Becky.
I know
She's a
y'all
New
are
Orleans
buds.
Dolan. We can't quit. We love her. she's the Grand Duchess Emeritus. She
All
stays with
right.
us forever and ever and ever.
So lots of performances. Now,
Yes.
you are a busy, busy bee because you have, of course, a business and a museum. Give us the website info for that.
Sure. There's carlmack.com, which is for booking entertainment and costume characters, of which many are going to be in the show because it's circus themed, and renting costumes, right? And we also have the Mardi Gras Museum.
Right there in the quarter, huh?
Right. So
Conti?
we're open
Yeah.
every day, 7 days a week. Come in and tour the exhibit of costumes that tells the story of Mardi Gras and Carnival.
So, Marshall, to get tickets, where do you go with the website?
You just
here?
do krewofstars.com and you'll have a little section there. Click, 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 and get your ticket right there.
All right, thank you all very much, and I'll be there. Krewe
Yeah.
of Stars.
Thank you.
And the Krewe of Stars' Show Ball takes place next Saturday. That's January the 18th at the Jefferson Performing Arts Center right there on Airline Drive. The ball begins at 8 p.m. Tickets are $75. Go to krewofstars.com to purchase them. And now, Ellen.
Well, you know, this past Sunday night, Broadway theaters paid homage, respect to Jerry Herman, the composer-lyricist, by dimming the theater lights. And before we get started on talking about the local scene, I really wanted to pay a little time to talk about him about his major contributions as a Broadway figure, and also a little bit of the history that he had. You know, he died the day after Christmas in Florida. While Stephen Sondheim and Stephen Schwartz and Alan Menken have really been given more attention in these more recent times by Broadway historians and enthusiasts, well, you know, really, he was maybe one of the most unheralded of composers, Jerry Herman. He was given a Lifetime Achievement Tony back in 2009 and was also a recipient of the Kennedy Center Honors, as you can see here, in 2010. But Jerry Herman will be forever known for 3 major Broadway shows: Hello, Dolly, which became synonymous with Carol Channing, her most identified role, but also, as you can see there, Angela Lansbury from Mame. And, you know, again, the Colleen Dewhurst is there. That's one of the Tony nights that were there. Later, of course, he found more fame again with his second Tony win for Le Cage aux Folles. Again, he was really identified with even Pearl Bailey, who did an all-black cast of Hello, Dolly. Again, one of my other favorites by Jerry Herman, Mack and Mabel, a show that Kelly definitely needs to be revived in this town.
Underappreciated.
Yes, it really is.
Yeah.
And so, you know, unlike, you know, Sirs Andrew Lloyd Webber and Elton John, Jerry Herman wrote both the music and the lyrics, which puts him in special company with Stephen Schwartz, Jason Robert Brown, and, of course, Stephen Sondheim. So, again, we give our hats off to Jerry Herman for all that he contributed. Now, on to the local scene. You know, a show that I really simply cannot wait to see is coming up. I saw this show on Broadway back in 2015. I will tell you, it's one of the funniest evenings of theater that you'll ever see. This is a photo of me at the St. James Theater 4.5 years ago, the original Broadway production of Something Rotten. And if you love musicals, you will love and you will laugh at this show. It's really basically a send-up of Shakespeare. And I understand that several of the actors are being brought in from out of town to take on some of the lead roles. Something Rotten was written by 2 brothers, by the way, who have Louisiana roots. That's right. Carey Kirkpatrick was born in Monroe, and his older brother, Wayne Kirkpatrick, was born in Baton Rouge and graduated from high school there. So if you have the will, you must see Shakespeare in this unusual comedic light.
To be a boy.
Yes, he is truly a rock star, and that's Something Rotten at Le Petit Theater starting January the 17th through February the 2nd. And my review for that show will be coming up later in the month. Meanwhile, JPAS is bringing back a piece they did in 2010, and that is, of course, Viagra Falls. It's a story about 2 aging men and a lady of questionable honor and some blue pills. This little blue pill will hopefully rise to the occasion. We so hope it's an adult comedy. It's not salacious, though. Don't bring the kids, probably, because you'll have to explain to them what's going on, but definitely bring your sense of humor. You'll not be displeased. That's Viagra Falls, January the 17th through February the 9th. Now, on to more serious productions. Coming up in just a few weeks, Southern Rep will be presenting Entozake Shange's translation of Mother Courage and Her Children by Bertolt Brecht. It's really an adaptation. It's considered a really powerful anti-war story, probably one of the most anti-war pieces that you can ever come to imagine. Basically, she reimagined this as with her adaptation to being taking place, the setting in post-Civil War Texas. And this work, which was a big break, by the way, for Morgan Freeman, has never been republished or never been seen on another stage since 1980, when it was at the Public Theater for the part of the New York Shakespeare Festival with Joseph Papp. So leave it to Southern Rep to lead the way with this one. This is going to be coming up on January the 22nd. Opening night is Sunday night the 26th. And again, check their website for all the different times, etc. Most of them are at 7:30. Matinees are at 3 o'clock. But Mother Courage and Her Children by Bertolt Brecht with the adaptation by Entozake Shange. Now, the award-winning team of Alan Boublil and Claude Schoenberg wrote Les Miserables, of course. Everybody knows that. Then they came up with another powerful piece, taking really on the Madama Butterfly story that we all know and love from opera. This is the story that's been reset in Vietnam and, of course, is Miss Saigon. The result is a powerful Miss Saigon, again, remarkable songs, and a stage design that is not to be believed, including the proverbial helicopter scene. So Miss Saigon will be at the Sanger Theater coming up in just a little bit. We hope that everybody will get a chance to go over and see that.
All right, Ellen, thank you. Now time for our picks. Kelly.
We are actually opening up registration for our 2 youth summer musical theater camps. 3 weeks in June and 3 weeks in July, 2 separate titles, so kids can go ahead and start registering now for the
Never
summer.
too soon. Great. Howard.
The Historic New Orleans Collection will be holding its annual symposium a week from tomorrow at the Monteleone Hotel. featuring talks about our Crescent City Sports Show. Tickets are still available, but they're going fast.
And John Meekum is going to be there, and I understand being interviewed
Junior,
too.
yes.
John,
Yes.
John Meekum Jr., right. But that's really something. And Mark Cave's going to be on our show next week to talk about the exhibit. So
I can't wait.
we get more info here. Thank you, Howard. Alan.
Okay, well, now, I'm not really being reimbursed for this by Kelly, but I just want you to know, get your tickets now for next month's And the Ball and All. Now, this is for the first time going to have the actors on stage who are portraying the members of the Krewe of Terpsichore as cross-dressing men. And Ricky Graham will be in that number. Of course, he wrote this many, many years ago. It is a perennial favorite at Mardi Gras time, and I recommend this highly. Again, And the Ball and All. By the way, Tracy Collins will be in the show as well. She won't be cross-dressing.
No. And before we go to my picks, I wanted to show you a few photos from the recent Joan of Arc parade. The monarchs were Margarita Bergen and Simon Hartfeld. Congratulations. Zoe Cange. She portrayed the maid on horseback. Look how beautiful. Thank you so much to Judy Batoni for the great photos. And famous photographers Elliot Erwitt and Henri Cartier-Bresson, very famous. Their exhibit, 2020 Vision, launches tomorrow and runs through May 15th at a gallery for fine photography right there on Charter Street. The exhibit features 20 rare silver gelatin photographs. The gallery is open Thursdays through Mondays from 10:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Visit agallery.com for more info. Cheryl Gerber is celebrating the launch. We're so excited for a brand new book, Cherchez la Femme, New Orleans' Women, and an accompanying exhibit with it next Thursday, January 16th at the New Orleans Jazz Museum, right there in Esplanade, the Mint, 6 to 9 p.m. Her book includes over 200 photographs of the city's most well-known women, and the book also includes 12 essays by female writers. The launch is free and open to the public and will feature a book signing by the author. Thank you all so very much, and thank you very much for watching. Good night.
This program is sponsored in part by the Eugenie and Joseph Jones Family Foundation, a local foundation proud to support the arts and culture in the greater New Orleans area. Support for Steppin Out comes in part from the Kristovich family in honor of Mary Lou and Bill Kristovich.